Henning, why don't you kick us off and let everybody know what you're doing. If you've got any plans for the holidays, please enlighten us. So go for it.
I'll start with those plans because there aren't any big plans. We typically would somewhere during the holiday hop on a plane and fly to Germany, because that's where my family lives, my parents, my sisters, my adult children. And for the first time this year, we're not doing that. So we're staying here. Here for us is new because we just moved 3 months ago to San Luis Obispo in California. And so there's still a whole lot to discover. One of the other reasons.
I was there Sunday.
Good.
We went to Monterey on first San Luis Obispo, and then Sunday night we drove to Monterey.
Yeah.
Did you see the swallows?
What is
that's Capistrano. Sorry about that.
Okay. It was too cold for otters, I can tell you that. I'm sorry to take up some of your 3 minutes, but I'll give you some more.
Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. So we're staying here. I spend probably the last 25 years of my career leading sales teams in different companies, different team sizes, different geographies, different products. And 2.5 years ago, I took, some say the skill set, some say the strong opinions that I developed during that time, and started a business that is now a matchmaker between sales executives, senior sales executives, and companies that have a need for this skill set. And I place those individuals as fractional or interim contractors. If you think of the fractional CFO or fractional CMO, same model applied to the sales leader. And so the executives on my roster take roles like a fractional VP of sales or a fractional CRO, and stay with companies 6, 8, 10 months, typically work 1 to 2 days a week in that role. And the goal is always to work themselves out of a job or out of a role, because the business is meant to grow. And at some point, the company will hire a full-time sales leader into that role. And the value that I bring to the table for an executive is that I'm a sales channel, because most of these are individual solopreneurs, and I bring them opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't have. And for companies, I bring them access to a talent pool that goes way beyond their personal contacts and way beyond things that an executive recruiter could uncover.
Henning,
go ahead.
I got a question for you. I know that you said that your ideal target is companies that have up to 6 salespeople or something like that.
Right.
Do you ever work with funded startups where, the founder was like, is the chief salesperson and they need to bring somebody on doing that work?
Yeah, so the ideal client size ranges from pre-revenue to 7 salespeople. And I always say 7 as a cutoff, because at that point, a full-time resource is required. But we do work with pre-revenue companies or early revenue companies. We do work with companies that are founder-led in their sales. And we work with companies that plateau at $1 million or $2 million or $5 million, and that need a new skill set to help them progress further and grow further.
Right. So there's somebody in the group. She's actually upstairs, so it's my girlfriend. So she doesn't show up in the group that much, but she works a lot with startups.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the founder just needs more bandwidth. And so whether it's 2 days a week or 3 days a week for 6 months or whatever, and quite possibly, once they bring on the next salesperson as a hire, that salesperson could continue as sort of management plus, something like that.
Yeah, founders also. Yeah, founders have mean, obviously they wear a lot of different hats.
Right.
A lot of founders don't have background in sales.
Right.
They often have a technical background, doctors, engineers, programmers, and they lack the skills, frankly. Unfortunately, they are asked by all the investors to be their first salesperson. So they go out and sell and do it successfully. Otherwise, they wouldn't be where they are. But that doesn't mean they're good at leading sales teams, at encouraging others, at providing coaching, at creating processes, at writing playbooks, at structuring a CRM, all the tasks that a sales leader takes care of. And I think there's always a time at which a founder realizes that he needs help, ideally sooner rather than later.
Right. Okay. You haven't met with Elise, have you?
No, I have not.
Okay. I'll connect you with her.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions for Henning?
Oh, it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's a unique niche.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that I believe I'm the only matchmaker for this role in the US. I don't know of another company. Most others are covering the entire C-suite. And in that case, sales always falls by the wayside.
Well, I know tons of fractional VP of sales.
Right.
So you're saying you place them?
Yes, I have a roster today of 300 executives that I work with, and I'm always interested to add new executives to that. I reckon there are between 3,000 and 5,000 executives in that space in the United States.
When you say executives, you're talking about these fractional sales VPs.
Yes, I try to stay away from titles because one company calls it a chief revenue officer, another company calls it a sales manager, and it's the same thing. It's the same role.
Right. Now, the reason I say that is meaning because when you say executive, it also sounds like you're talking about you have 300 companies you represent, finding them people. So the messaging gets mixed up to me.
Okay. Well, for me, those are clients or opportunities, and I don't necessarily represent them on an ongoing basis. When they have a need, we connect. Conversations start with, Henning, I have a problem in sales. I think you can help. And then we peel the onion and find the root cause and see if better leadership for the sales team is the answer to their problems.
So you have 300 of those type of people that you're communicating with. Meaning it's two different ones. One side of the equation, the one doing the hiring, and the other one is being hired. And
Yes. So
obviously you can represent the ones who want to get jobs. I get that. But are you spending more time talking to the ones who want to be hired or the ones who want to do the hiring?
as a matchmaker, I feel I need to spend equal time on both sides. If I focus solely on potential clients, I won't have the right executives. If I only focus on executives, I don't have clients. So it's
which is more difficult for you, finding the people to hire or finding the people who want to do the hire to get hired?
So the finding the executives, the sales leaders, the fractional VP of sales is easy because they all self-identify on LinkedIn, and I can easily connect with them. It's harder to identify assignment opportunities, and the reason is that very few founders go out there and are in the market for a fractional sales leader. They're in the market for a solution to their problem, but they don't really know what that solution is. And so, so that makes it harder to find, though once we're connected and have conversations, more often than not, missing sales leadership is the solution or is the problem, and the solution lies in a fractional assignment.
Okay. Are you regional or?
No, national across the US.
Good to know.
Michael, I hope you don't mind. This is interesting for our group because he's sort of new to us. That's why I think there's more questions to dive into this. It's sort of like
Absolutely, that's what it's all about, right?
I mean, I got a question then. What do you do? Because you're right. Identifying the people who want to be hired, very easy. And I'm in Provisors, if you're familiar with that network, and right there alone, there are so many of these fractional VPs, practically one in every group, and there's now hundreds of groups, I think, around the country. So and I've been in it for a long time, so I'm watching it grow. What strategies are you utilizing to get in front of these founders, CEOs, in order to give your pitch for what you do?
A number of different ways. The most successful so far has been direct outreach to founders on LinkedIn.
Right.
Founders as well self-identify, and then we put parameters around it regarding the number of employees, the revenue. We also use Crunchbase to look at recent investments. Those are all pieces of the puzzle that tell us who is worthwhile to reach out to. In addition, I work with startup networks around the country where founders gather. The most, maybe the most well-known is 1 Million Cups. I've done many presentations at different local chapters of 1 Million Cups. Lastly, I look for partnerships. Fractional CFOs or fractional CFO organizations, for example, are obviously in the same space, and it's a whole lot easier to convince a founder, owner, or CEO that already has a fractional executive to take on another one than to convince someone who has never heard of the concept.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Great. All right, let's move on. Larry,
Thank you for the
came in-
question, Jason.
Yeah, Henning, I sent you my contact information. I'd like to connect outside of the meeting.
Okay,
So
I will.
What is your email? Where is your email, Henning?
I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay, good
You
idea.
can also find him, of course, under Vendux, VENDUX, on trustref.net.
Nice.
well, I'm Larry Joseph. I am a longtime expert in the area of marketing collateral, which is identified as anything that a company needs to promote what they do, be it print, promotional products, packaging. Most recently, I've been doing more in the promotional products area. This is kind of one of my self-promotion pieces, which maybe some of you have seen. Rubik's Cube with let us help you solve your branding puzzle on the one side. Most recently, well, with the pandemic, it's been a bit of a nightmare. But my biggest wins in the last year have been setting up online store sites for several of my clients so that they can get their brand and merchandise out to either their clients or to their employees. So I've had some nice wins with that. Let's see, what else can I tell you about me? I've been doing it for many years. I come originally from the custom loose leaf binder business. My father had a factory in that area. And what's happened there is iPads and internet came along. And back when I started with my dad, there were over 450 binder manufacturers for custom binders. There are fewer than 45 today. So that I've always done the promotional products as well. But most recently, I've been, again, concentrating on that to try and grow that aspect of the business. We try to take a different slant in terms of being creative in what we do to help solve our clients' problems in that area. And it's best demonstrated with examples like my Rubik's Cube, but I have many other ideas like that to share as well. So that's what I do.
So Larry, when you have a build out an e-com site, those are the types of things that my teams do. So I would love to talk to you about that.
I would love to talk to you about it as well. I'm a one-person operation now. At one time when I had the factory, we had over 100 employees. I was going to write a book that's called People Equal Problems. There's so many great employee stories out there that I've heard. I was also a member of the Entrepreneurs Organization for many years in Philadelphia, and just sitting in my forum group with other EO members and hearing about some of the stories they told about their problem employees was unbelievable. So I affiliated with a larger firm called I Promote You, which is one of the largest companies in the promotional products business. I own Takeoff Products, my company, but I'm in affiliation with them. they unfortunately, in terms of trying to get you to work with me on that, they have people in place that are very inexpensive for me to work with. But I
I
still
see,
don't talk
okay.
to you about. Who knows? That we can probably expand on that.
Okay. So they've got offshore resources or something.
No, they actually domestic. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In fact, they've added 2 more people recently. It was a 1-person operation at I Promote You, but it's been growing through folks. They're over 600 affiliated companies like me. It's kind of like the the real estate model, with realtors out there being part of a Weichert or one of the larger real estate groups nationally.
Right. Okay. Absolutely. Still love to talk, understand what the model is and
Let's do it.
What it
Yeah,
costs
they're
to build.
using
Okay.
e-blocks primarily.
E-blocks?
Yeah.
Not familiar with it.
Okay.
Okay. That's their e-commerce. Okay. Let's see. Then it would be, I don't know, Jason or Ken. Jason, why don't you go?
Okay, so I have 2 identities. One is Get Visible. It's a marketing agency. We've been around since 2005. We build in that format WordPress websites, and then we promote them. So search engine ranking, social media, visibility, content creation, and blog creation for that matter, which really is part of the SEO game, and then advertising management. So we grow the audience either because there's keywords or because we interrupt people with ads and posts and stuff like that. Deal a lot with service providers. That's why I had all those questions, Henning, because I do a lot of work with professional services. That includes medical. And then we also do, and my other identity, there's a crossover to e-commerce. We have our own platform. So on top of building like WordPress with WooCommerce or Shopify, we have another platform, which is, it sort of sits in the middle of Shopify and Magento. It doesn't have the yearly fees like Magento, and it doesn't have the restrictions of Shopify. So we can make it look like anything. We're using the term integrated commerce. So we're able to build really robust websites. We can build simple ones too, but from an e-commerce standpoint, and not just e-commerce, but any web transaction type of environment. Like we're talking to someone now that wants to build a portal for healthcare, and people are going to have plans that they can utilize to follow the healthcare they're providing for people. We could do all that inside our system, even though there's no e-commerce. It's just a very serious, comprehensive CMS e-commerce platform. The website's called adricom.net. And that one works a lot with manufacturers on the e-commerce side and distributors. And that's it. My excitement of the week is talking to one of the biggest rap stars in the world about launching a new store with his t-shirts and all that kind of crap and a little bit of cannabis related stuff, but maybe the NFT market, which I'm trying to understand. And I didn't speak to the rap star, but I spoke to his marketing guy. And when I gave him the ideas that I had, he went wild. And I don't know shit about NFT, but it sounds like I do. I'll tell you one idea. Do you all know what NFTs are by now or not?
Non-fungibles.
Yeah, who cares what they're called? It's just crazy money out there for now. And I said, listen, you're growing your own weed. Take the first harvest, pull out the plants, put them into glassine things and seal them hermetically and sell the NFT of the picture of that stuff and put them in a vault. It'll go wild. And he was like, that is awesome.
Great.
Look, I saw a guy, Gary Vaynerchuk, who's just I think he sleeps and promotes himself while he's sleeping. And he drew a picture of a bumblebee with a black magic marker. Then he drew some yellow and he put it up as an NFT. He took a picture of it. And he did this for a couple of hundred of these things and sold $51 million in 1 week of his bumblebee crap. It's wild. Now, I understand it's Gary V and all of that, but it's just, so you got to leverage and find your Gary V and just make money off of it because people are spending crazy, crazy virtual money. Anyway, that's my gig for the week.
That's what bothers me, virtual money.
Yeah, but they put money into the system to begin with. I know people are playing with OPM at this point because if they bought, money early on and they're watching it go up, so now they're just playing with that. I get it. Don't put your life savings into it, but there is something about virtual real estate. I don't know what that's going to manifest into, but there is something.
I can live
Right.
in a virtual
The
house.
Sims.
That's okay.
Well, an NFT doesn't have to be, I mean, usually it's transacted in, cryptocurrency, but you don't actually have to, it doesn't have to be, I don't think.
No, but the reason it does is because of the proof of purchase in the blockchain.
Right.
That's why it's all done there.
Blockchain.
And
It's interesting. I just discovered when I really haven't investigated all that much, but it was pointed out to me, and I don't remember where I saw this, but you think there's still gold in Fort Knox? No. Our whole monetary system is based off of gold and or silver, and it doesn't exist there anymore. It's
well,
not
first
there.
of all, we know that Goldfinger destroyed all the gold in gold.
That's right. And he flew off in his Cherokee Warrior or whatever, in the
And
small
I grew up
plane
by the
that drove.
Fontainebleau Hotel, so I
I thought we went off the gold standard, in the 1980s, but maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
but it's
Before
not
that.
backed, it's not backed by gold anymore. So what's backing our money?
The good faith and credit of the U.S. government,
That's
full
right.
faith and credit of the U.S. government, which our Congress is it's soon to destroy. Ken, you're up.
Cynicism. I'm Ken Simon. I work with small and mid-sized. I'm a marketing consultant, and I work with small and mid-sized companies and startups, helping them understand who their customers are, what their needs are, and then developing strategies for them to help them grow their business. So more or less, Henning, what I do is I'll work with the salespeople and help them feed them leads and and strategies for them to go after their targets. But I'll also work with the companies to help them understand, like, who are they communicating with? Are they talking to the right people, or are they talking with the right language towards, like, what are the problems that company has or their customers have, and and how is that company going to solve those problems? I work also with other companies that like with startups that I'm helping them with developing marketing plans or business plans so that they could raise capital, as well as pitch decks. So companies I've been working with have been in the B2B space, financial services, manufacturing service industry, as well as my new one, which is my interesting one, is a rocket company, which I'm trying to help them blast off and get capital in Australia, of all places. But then I'm working with a number of other different startups too, helping them get signups for their apps, or help them develop marketing plans to help them market their applications. So it's interesting. What's interesting now is, like, whatever I'm dealing with, we had a COVID scare, so this morning I stood 2 hours online to get tested for COVID.
Wow.
We went to a wedding this past weekend, and then we got an email saying that some people came down with COVID. So, so that's like throwing us for a monkey wrench, whatever. But so far all good. But we're staying hidden from everybody for the moment until we get the all clear.
Is the Australian company taking people into space with them?
Right now, no. They're doing something with it, like their initial thing is they want to do a single stage rocket to help, which to get payloads into low Earth orbit. So most other rockets are like multi-stage rockets. This is a single stage. And what's interesting is what I'm learning about is that everything is being done with, like, a lot of things, like the rocket engines will be all 3D printed, which I just find fascinating. It's like, it's not, like, and and everything is like lightweight, easy to print. It's like, it's interesting how the manufacturing of these complicated things are becoming easier to do.
Wow.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. I wonder what they 3D print it with. I hope it's fireproof, because Certainly,
No,
hope it's
I
not,
would
hope
assume
it's not
so.
plastic.
I mean, I just saw a thing on 3D printing houses. If you could imagine that.
That's
There.
my wife. Sorry to
Oh.
interrupt.
Oh.
but-
Oh, we're gonna get
Hallo,
into
wie
some
geht's?
German.
Es geht sehr gut, Ihnen auch.
Ja, ausgezeichnet, langer Tag. 4 Uhr
Wunderbar.
morgens aufgestanden.
Ich habe gehört, Sie sind aus Lübeck ursprünglich.
Ja, genau,
Gehört, ich komme aus
Norddeutsch.
Köln.
Köln, rheinische
Ja.
Frohnatur.
Ja, auf jeden Fall.
Das ist jetzt nur so rausgerutscht.
Das
Schöne
passt.
Feiertage. Happy
Danke
Holidays.
gleichfalls.
Happy
Weihnachten.
holidays.
Tschüss.
All right, a little
Sorry.
bit of.
Thank you, Larry.
My pleasure.
Conversation
Just
there.
came back, so.
I will jump in, give myself 3 minutes. As you know, I'm Michael Bendit, and besides running this trusted referral network, which I am continue to work on, I'm working diligently on the next version of the website, and am planning on launching an outreach campaign starting in January through another member, actually, Joe what's his last name? You
Did he
know it.
join? Did Joe join?
He
TRN?
did join, but he hasn't been active.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to come too much.
Yeah, I doubt he'll be active. But he's got a cold email outreach program, which I've started. I haven't actually turned it on yet, but I'm learning the process and excited about what it will generate. But my core business is representing software development teams. So in many respects, I am like Henning in that I am a matchmaker. I have about 10 teams that I work with. They all have different skill sets. A lot of the work that we do is in a partnership with marketing agencies, digital marketing agencies that may come across an opportunity that they just don't have the bandwidth or the resources or the skill set internally to manage. So they outsource it. And because I have 10 different teams, I can usually say, yeah, we've got a team that can do that. Also do a lot of work with startups and small companies, either for new startup applications or sometimes operational systems. So we're working with a client right now who is in the, I think I had mentioned them before, they're in the passport and license expediting business. And one of my teams helped recreate or upgrade their operational system, which tracks the progress of their applications. And now we're working on a more external system for customers to have access to the requirements for licenses. I think commercial licenses or expediting licenses for that car dealers use. And most of the work that I do is with my dual shore teams. Those are teams that have some people here in the US, but most of their resources are offshore. So our rates tend to be very competitive. But the client doesn't have to deal with the issues of language barriers and cultural barriers, time zone differences, those sort of things. So, love to talk to anybody who's got a need in terms of, building an application, mobile application, a website, e-commerce site. Larry will connect on your e-commerce work. And, in some cases, it will be a more cost competitive, better option. Other cases, perhaps not. Looking forward, of course, to the new year. I'm hoping that, the COVID situation will resolve somehow.
Yeah.
But this year has been decent, actually. It's been a decent year.